Hawks at Magic, Saturday, NBA Game 1, Round 1 playoff action. Who do you like?
I love the under in this game. I absolutely love the under. Want to know why?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why not? I'll give you the reason. It should be enough that I just said it, but
we'll
take
it.
Yeah, we cut it. We could stop it right there because I love this
maybe
under.
Convince me
a little bit further. Yeah, because I do want that check of approval. Bottom line,
you got to work for it.
This reminds me of a baseball total, of a hockey total, of a football total. Reason being, sometimes the odds maker can only go so low. And that's when you get value, when my true line is still so much lower. Meaning, in Major League Baseball, the lowest total you're going to see is 6.5. Back before, we never saw below 7. Wise guys took advantage of that, and because of that, these days, books are willing to go to 6.5. But you're never going to see 5.5. And yet, there are times where I come up with a game that I don't think is going to be above a 3-2 final. But because of that fact that the odds makers are only going to set out a number at a certain level,
and I think it goes
you could
the
take
other
advantage.
way. And I've seen different theories that say...
And with the over, the same thing.
Exactly. If you take the lowest 5% of totals and bet under, and then you take the highest 5% of totals and bet over, that I've heard people theorize that you have an edge. Not maybe playing it blind, but looking to go that way because
they can only go so high. In NFL, you're only going to go to so high, maybe 51, but sometimes you'll handicap a game that both teams will be in the 30s, and you're not going to see a total of 60, and because of that, you're able to take advantage. That's the case in this game. This total came out 181. Wise guys jumped on the under immediately. It took them all 3 seconds to realize this line's inflated. And even at 179.5, it's still inflated. Reason being, odds makers know, bookmakers know, public tends to bet the over. And that's exactly what's going to happen in this game. People are afraid to bet under 170s. And in this case, that's the only way to look. Every year we get one of those series that every game happens to go under. And every time the odds maker made it just 1 point, 1.5 point, we're hearing left and right, now there's value on the over, now there's value on the over, and guys are fading it and trying to take advantage of that adjustment and bet the over. Fact of the matter is, it still isn't low enough. And this is one of those series where I don't think they're going to be able to send out a total that's low enough unless it goes 6 or 7 games. In a 4-game series, if Orlando happens to sweep this team, I don't think we're going to see a total that's low enough for this to go over.
Okay, so I love the macro, the big picture concept. And in a way, it reminds me of the old, I guess they used to call them bridge jumpers at the track, but the theory was that, okay, if you play let's say a horse is a
1 to 5.
1 to 5, right? And now if you go to the show, though, the lowest payout they can pay is $2.20. So it might be a situation where that the payout really should be on a $2 bet, like $2.05, or $2.10. But since they're willing to pay, can you pay $2.20 or $2.10?
$2.20, I believe.
I think.
I'm almost positive.
So. But whatever it is, the true payout is less than that.
Right.
But because in this case they fund it, or they mechanically can't pay out less, you've got an overlay.
Exactly.
You're saying psychologically they can't make a total of 170 or 165. You're saying psychologically, since that's so hard for the odds maker to put it out there and think he's going to get equal action, that bias is something that you want to look under towards.
Exactly.
That makes a ton of sense to me. Is there what specifically about this game do you think fits into the low scoring?
These two teams met 4 times. One time did they eclipse 180, and it landed on 182. 2 of the 3 games, they didn't even go over the 170 mark. They scored a total of 167 and 152. And now we're looking at 179 and a half.
We talked about this in the last video. When you look at the prior games entering these playoff series, there's 2 possibilities. One is there's results that are truly indicative of what's going on with these teams. But when those results are indicative but are contrary to what the public wants to bet, they want to bet over a low number like this, then you can take advantage of what you learned from these early games. So you're saying you learned that these teams don't score a lot together, but the public doesn't want to hear that. They want to ignore that, and that's where the value is.
Exactly, because of the fact it's now under that 180 mark that most recreational bettors are afraid to go under. I mean, they're biased to the over to begin with.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And now that they see a number in the 170s in their mind, they're thinking a college team should eclipse this number. You know, you're looking at two pro teams, they're not going to put up 85 points each. And I say they're not. They're not going to put up 85 points each. In fact, like I said, they played 4 times this season, and only 1 time did they eclipse that 180. And the odds makers brought it out at 181, and right away the wise guys saw value in the under. And the fact is, bookmakers are going to get balanced because come game time, the betting public is going to step up and they're going to fire on the over.
All right, so let's talk about your line move prediction on this game. This is something you've done very successfully. Is if I agree with, I'm watching and I'm saying, Villahar, that sounds good, sign me up. Do you bet this baby early or do you wait till game time?
I think you wait because right now, from what I'm hearing, even at 179.5, I think it's going to possibly go to 179 and then go back up. Mm-hmm. I think by game time we're going to be looking at 180 because of the fact the limits are increased when it comes to playoffs. Books are willing to take more money. Wise guys could get down more quicker. So they've already taken a significant position to push this number from 181 down to 179.5. So I think they're going to stop. You might see some late guys that you know don't receive the play right away or steam followers that go under this 179.5, pushing it to 179. But as we approach game time, this baby's going to go back up. So I think you're better off waiting as close to tip-off as possible, getting the best number, banging this under.
All right, well, give us your official projection.
I'm looking at this total not going over the 165 mark. Again, 85-80 final.
All right. I'm going to endorse this one. I got to tell you.
You're not afraid to go under that low,
well, you know,
low ceiling.
The psychology that I'm getting the best of it because of that, it thrills me to no end. That's something
yeah, that alone, not even counting Atlanta's 26th in points per game and Orlando's 16th or 17th, so they don't score anyway. But again, the psychology and the fact that we're in the playoffs, we're getting value. Under's the only way to look. And if you've checked off on it, this should be on the card come
Under's the only way to look in this game, you mean?
For sure.
And in most games.
Yeah, that's where I start.
But you have another video.
Yes, I do, that you don't want to miss.
And that's the key.
If I'm betting an over.
Well, that's the key, though.
Score galore.
The old school wise guys would always take the double digits, would always play the under. And what I've seen about the new school is that 10% of the time that they go over or that they'll lay the favor or even pass the big dog, that separates them from the old school in a very positive way, I
agree.
All right, it's your turn to continue the conversation in the comment section with VR and me. And we'll be back with more videos on the NBA playoffs. We're going to have a ton of them. See you then.